Speaking of Arthas, let's talk about him again from a bygone era. I guess we can call that a bygone era at this point. Wrath of the Lich King Classic. Pretty much with the data leak that happened with the latest patch and stuff like that was found within Burning Crusade Classic. They found data files that were, pointing to what very well could be perceived as Wrath Classic. Now, I ran a poll a while back asking on my Twitter and in my community tab, if Wrath Classic actually does happen, would people be interested? Would, people that did this poll, would they be interested in playing it? Now, I didn't really know what to expect with this poll. I didn't know what to expect. Because I didn't really know what to expect because out of all of the expansions, Wrath of the Lich King is very special. For a lot of people, Wrath of the Lich King is a very beloved experience because for the longest time, for a lot of people, Wrath of the Lich King was their first entry into World of Warcraft because this was the peak of their popularity. Like, this was the peak of it. You also have to remember that this was also, 2007, 2008, and gaming PCs were starting to become a lot more mainstream, or PCs garnered towards gaming and stuff like that, and it was starting to become more of a mainstream theme instead of this niche little thing. Because if people can remember between the years of 2004, 2005, into Wrath of the Lich King, World of Warcraft wasn't just some video game. It was a very, there was a culture behind it. It was in commercials. There was product of it everywhere. There was advertisement for it everywhere. World of Warcraft at one point, very much in the same vein as, say, Power Rangers, Ninja Turtles, things of that nature. When not Super Mario, Pokemon, there was a period of time where World of Warcraft ruled the freaking world when it came to pop culture and stuff like that. It was everywhere. When you get one of the hottest adult animated shows at the time in South Park to dedicate an entire episode to this video game and basically using it as a means to an end for your comedy, you've pretty much hit a peak level of popularity that so few things ever rarely hit in this world. And World of Warcraft was one of them. And Wrath of the Lich King was just one of those one of the most anticipated video game releases that year. I can remember when the Wrath expansion was coming out. People were frothing at the mouth because all they could talk about was that cinematic with Arthas. It was finally time to see him again, especially with the fans that had followed Warcraft for the longest time and even played through Vanilla WoW and having to deal with the Scourge there. You never got to see the Lich King in there, but you saw Kel'Thuzad and saw these other Scourge forces. Finally, the time was come where we could finally go fight one of these big iconic characters in Arthas. So, for so many people, Wrath was their entry point into World of Warcraft. Mine was late Burning Crusade, so I'm kind of in that, spectrum and whatnot. And I'm going to keep talking here, but Chad, I'll even ask you, how many of you was Wrath of the Lich King your entry point into World of Warcraft, And even hey, in the comments below, once I post this video, how many of you was Wrath of the Lich King your entry point into World of Warcraft? I can bet it was a lot of you. But when I ran this poll, and I said in the poll, if Wrath of the Lich King Classic is real, and it's looking like it is, how many of you are going to play it? There were 209 votes, and 88% of those votes said no. And I won't lie. I was a little surprised. I thought at least it would be maybe 50-50, close to that. But the fact that it was with 209 people, and I know for bigger channels and stuff like that, that might not mean much. But for 209 people, for 88% of those people to say no, That's very telling on what, out of those 209 people that voted. I think that is very telling. I think it is very, very telling, as far as, what people want right now. And a lot of people just don't, and from the comments, what a lot of people said, I played Wrath, I enjoyed Wrath, but it was either A, I don't trust Activision Blizzard and I don't want to give them the money right now, or B, I lived the experience and they can't recapture that experience again. And I think the last one is still the most telling. I mean, look, even friends of mine that still play World of Warcraft, they're not happy with Activision Blizzard either. They're not. But it's not my place, and it's nobody's place to tell people that, you can't play this game just because the company running them is full of scumbags. It's a corporation. Every corporation is run by scumbags. Even Square Enix. Their president tried to do a scumbag thing with NFTs a while back. I mean, corporations are run by rich, wealthy scumbags who's the only thing on their mind is make money, make money, make money, make money. But I think another factor with that. Also with that kind of mentality, as far as we don't trust Blizzard, I think Blizzard burned a lot of good faith with Burning Crusade Classic. And it wasn't the fact that they re-released the expansion. It was the fact that they did what they said they were not going to do, and that was adding in a level boost. There's this fantastic video by Mad Season Show where he talked about, them putting in level boosting on Burning Crusade Classic. And one of the biggest things that you do to hold retention and life in your video game is you keep people wanting to play it. And one of the tricks of the trade when it comes to a video game is, and this goes back to even the NES days, with difficult games like Ninja Gaiden, or even Super Mario Brothers, or even Legend of Zelda, as cryptic as the original Legend of Zelda was with on NES. The longer it takes for a player to reach the end game, the longer they will play, more than likely, unless they give up. Dark Souls masters this. Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Sekiro, and now Elden Ring, and Demon Souls master this trick of the trade when it comes to video gaming. You want to reach the end. How long it takes you to get there is entirely up to you. You're left to your own devices. You have to adapt to the game. But when they introduced a level boost to Burning Crusade, which still had the old world of vanilla WoW in there, this was basically bowing to the whims of players that wanted the game to adapt to them. And at that point, it's not a video game anymore. It's, you swiped a credit card, now you get to do the new expansion. I, for one, and I am a hypocrite. Have I bought level boosts in the past? Yep, I have. I think a lot of WoW players have. So it does make me come across as a little hypocritical. But in my defense, I did buy it on an alt. And 100+ levels is a lot to go through when it's the same shit over and over and over and over, and going through the same zones over and over and over again. I have to compare to Final Fantasy XIV. I have to compare to Final Fantasy XIV, where let's say that I want to, let's say I'm a black mage, but I want to play warrior. I don't have to make an alt. I don't have to make a new character. I don't have to start over. I go do the opening quest line to unlock the job, and then whenever I want to play warrior, I just click a button, and now I'm playing warrior. You don't have to go through. If Final Fantasy XIV had it in there to where you had to go through MSQ, and some people still have this misconception about 14. Some people think, wait, if I want to do, warrior, or if I want to do another class, do I have to go do that MSQ all over again? And thank God you don't, because I can guarantee you right now, if you had to go through MSQ every single time, all of MSQ, every single time you wanted to play a new job, 14 would flop. It would be an absolute flop. Now, Lost Ark is very good about this, where when you reach a certain level with your character, you on alternative characters, you can get them jumped up to a certain level. But this happens at no extra cost to the player. Honestly, I think that would be a much better approach with World of Warcraft and alts and getting them up to the current content. Because alts take time. Some people are altaholics and they could make alts all day. Majority of players, even going back to vanilla, making an alt wasn't just some, whatever, I'll make an alt and I'll be level 20 by the end of the day. Most players, no. Especially when it was pre-Cataclysm. Leveling took forever. And changing over to an alt was not just some easy task, you know? I think World of Warcraft could learn from something like, say, Lost Ark, where once you reach a certain level, you get these 2 free boosts that boost your character up to, say, closer to the end game for, an alts or something like that, which I think is perfectly fine. But here's the deal. You don't have to do it. You don't have to do it at all. It's completely optional. You don't have to at all. And this is kind of a bold thing. This would completely change how the game would work in a lot of ways. I think it would be a very daring thing if World of Warcraft multi-classed their characters. Now, I don't think they ever will. I think that's too bold, and I don't think they'll ever do that. It would be interesting to see if they could do that. So, with all these factors going in here, a lot of people are very skeptical. A lot of people are very, very skeptical when it comes to Wrath of the Lich King Classic and its inevitable arrival. I personally still don't know how I feel about Wrath of the Lich King Classic. I personally don't really know how I feel about it. I really don't. I have very fond memories of Wrath of the Lich King. There are things about it that I will always love and treasure. There were things I didn't like about it, Wrath was not perfect. Wrath had a lot of problems, and there were a lot of things they put in Wrath that influenced a lot of their business decision-making and game design changes that very negatively affected the franchise as a whole, especially on down the line. So Wrath was not perfect, but Wrath is very iconic, and that cannot be denied. Wrath of the Lich King, probably out of all the expansions, and I don't count Vanilla because Vanilla is not an expansion, but out of all of the expansions, there's not one more iconic than Wrath of the Lich King because it's Arthas. Arthas is on the cover. Of course it's going to be the most iconic. So the player base is very divided on Wrath Classic. I personally am not sure where I stand on it or if I'm going to try it. I might, just to see how I feel about it. But I also go in with this understanding as well. Is it possible that they will do things like a level boost again with this? I would be surprised if they didn't. I can only hope that maybe if this business acquisition with Microsoft goes through, they start rethinking a lot of their business decisions and their monetization of the game. Because at this rate, guys, with a monthly sub, buying expansions, this cash shop, and everything else they have in World of Warcraft is probably one of the most monetized games on the freaking planet right now. And quite frankly, I'm sick of it.